Hello. Hello.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm so sorry. I'm not going to be able to switch on my video because I ended up having to go somewhere and now I'm in the car. But let's hope. Switch it on for a few minutes just to show my face.
samosa only. Game samosa. अच्छा है लेकिन देना.
No, mind is not working with samosa, whatever you're giving. Maya, you can start.
Yeah, Valerie.
Yes.
Good evening, Valerie. Can we start?
Yeah,
One second, madam. Smita, are you there?
Chimita.
Smita, just ensure that once madam starts, your YouTube is on. Yes, Smita, are we good to go? Smita, Maya madam, am I audible?
Yes,
can hear.
you are.
Yes, you are audible.
I think some Smita's network issue seems. Who else is in channel? You are there?
Chimita is there.
But she's, I think, some own phone.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. I'm here. I'm here, sir.
And, whether the streaming started, YouTube started. If it started, then we can request Madam Maya to start. First, you confirm. Ask the team.
Yes, sir. Give me a minute. Yes, sir. The streaming has begun.
So I start, Bajaj sir. Okay.
Yes,
Good evening, friends. Good evening, friends. Good evening, IB family, customers, and all other friends who are watching this streaming in the YouTube. Today, on the occasion of International Women's Day, our Indian Bank has organized a webinar on the topic leadership and growth. As you all know, International Women's Day is celebrated on 8th of March since 1911, and the theme for this particular year has been gender equality today for a sustainable tomorrow. And I am of the view that this is more relevant with this climate change and corrective action catching up, and with this young 17-year-old Greta Thunberg catching global attention on this topic also. Today, as far as we are concerned, we are in a crossroad as to, or rather a question crops to my mind always, as to whether the leadership comes first and then the growth comes, or with growth do we get leadership roles. So this is whether which comes first, chick or the egg, like that. That is how it goes. Today we have with us a visionary leader, Madam Vora from IIM Ahmedabad, to mention about her credentials. It is not so easy at all. She is a great visionary leader, and she has been a professor of organizational behavior at IIM Ahmedabad for last 2 decades. She was also head of IMA's Center for Innovation, Incubation and Entrepreneurship, CIIE. This organization takes care of the startup ecosystem in collaboration with Government of India and Government of Gujarat. She is also Vice Chancellor of Delhi Skills and Entrepreneurship University since October 2020, and she is donning several caps, like she is also the visiting professor of University of Manitoba, Canada, and Xavier Institute of Management, Bhubaneswar, and she is associate editor of Indian Psychological Abstracts and Reviews and book review editor of International Journal of Cross-Cultural Management. To add on to these, she also takes care of competency building of various executives of national and multinational corporations. And that is not all. She also takes care of the competency building for small scale industries in collaboration with SIDBI in Odisha. So with these few words, we are all eager to listen to Madam Vora, and I leave the floor to Madam Vora, and I give a hearty welcome to Madam. Madam, happy Women's Day or to you and your family members and all kith and kin, and all male members also, to pass on the goodwill and celebrations to their family members. With these few words, I request Madam to share her thoughts on leadership and growth, and to be also motivational for the young women to come up in their career, Madam. Thank you, Madam.
All right. Thank you so much, Ma'am Maya, for your kind introduction, and happy Women's Day to you as well, and all the listeners and all those who have signed into this. Of course, happy Women's Day to my friend Miss Valerie Rath, who's a friend from university. So we went to the university together many years ago. So I will start off by sharing a little bit about this whole question of, why we find so few women leaders, right? We are, from the beginning, I will start to say that maybe we will come to a day when, while we are 50% of the population, give and take 1 or 2% here and there, we have 1 day out of 365 dedicated to us. I will hope in the next 8 to 10 years, we will not have to celebrate International Women's Day. We should just, just like there is no International Men's Day, there should not be an International Women's Day. We should just be equal, and we should just be seen in all places as per our capability and as per our ability to do what we need to do. So that is the first thing I want to say. The second is, when I talk about when do we think a woman is really is using her agency? So just to give an example, when you look at women, one very interesting incident is that there is research to show that when some new opportunity comes up in the workplace, and a woman is asked, even if she's 100% ready, she will say, let me think about it. And of course, if she's not 100% ready, she will definitely say no. However, if a man is 60% ready, he will say, yes, I will put up my hand for it. He will say, okay, let me do it. Now, obviously, there are many reasons for why this might happen, but I would say when the women also are able to raise their hand, even if they are 50% ready to take the risk and uncertainty that comes with accepting something that you don't know too much about, that is one day when we would say, okay, women are also equal in the space that they are. And I see this from a personal experience. So I think it was in September 2020, in the middle of COVID, I get a call one night, in which I was asked, we would like to offer you to become the vice chancellor of a new university that we are setting up. And I hope you meet the criteria. And I asked them what were the criteria was, and they said the criteria was you should have been a professor for 12 years, and of course for 10 years, and of course I'd been a professor for much longer than that. And I said, well, that's interesting. Can I think about it? And of course, because it was the deputy CM of Delhi who was calling, he was like, well, if you find it interesting and you make it, our search has ended. Now we are going to wait for you to say yes to being the vice chancellor. I was in a very cushy job. Well set professor at IIM Ahmedabad. I always told people that I have 12 more years to retire from here. I'm going nowhere. I'm happily doing what I'm doing. And suddenly, this call comes in and I'm like, oh, and the fact is I've never worked in a university, I've never worked in a government, I know nothing about skills, I know a little bit about entrepreneurship, and here is and there are no precedents in the country of what a skill and entrepreneurship university is supposed to look like, and I have to make a decision within less than 2-3 days that whether I'm going to go or not go. Obviously, I did what a lot of other women do. I talked to various people. Should I do it? Should I not do it? And there was a male friend who at the institute, who said, "What do you want to do?" Yeah, and I said, "One doesn't make decisions on." But do you want to do it? And when I turned that question, rather than
I think, Madam Nakarika, we are not hearing you.
There is some connectivity issue, Madam Neharika. We are not able to hear you.
Madam was traveling or something.
Yes, no, even today we also have some connectivity issues here.
just that I face.
Madam Elliot, you can call Madam and call over phone and find out.
Hello? Can you hear
I'm
me?
doing it.
I'm not able to
Now you have. We can hear you now.
Can you hear me or no?
Back of your voice.
Yes.
Now you
can
are
just
on.
repeat.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So, okay. So I have multiple challenges. I don't know the city of Delhi. I don't know what a vice chancellor does. I don't know how a university functions. And room and one person who was loaned to me, I was expected to start a university. It's been exciting, but I can say as a leader, yeah, as a faculty, I have taught leadership for years together. But as a practicing leader, I have learned most in these last 15 months because I have had to push myself on every single front. Now, whether I fail or I succeed, whether at the end of my 2-year leave from IIM Ahmedabad, I go back to IIM Ahmedabad or I continue as a vice chancellor, I will not want to trade this decision because, or I would not want to do it in any other way, because I ended up experiencing what it takes to put up your hand when you are at 50%. I was not even 50% ready, but when I put up my hand and when I said, yes, I'm going to try it, I have learned on so many fronts. And the reality is that nobody really expects you to know all the answers, but people are happy to help you. People are happy when you say, I don't know, can you help me with this? There are lots of people who come back to help you. There are lots of individuals who will stand beside you. uh, you have to ask for that help. You have to be okay to say, I don't know this, but can I learn from you? Can I figure something out? And I think one of the things I've learned as a leader, and I would share this with all the women who are listening to me, is that when you take the first step, right? Maybe your family does have a lot of trepidation about the fact that, you know, how much disruption that is going to lead to. But in the end, when they see you enjoying what you do, my experience is that they also join in. When I am very scared and when I am in doubt, I think other members of the family are happy to also add to that doubt to me. Maybe this is not the right time. Maybe this is not the age for you. Maybe you should be looking at this point of time. But when you confidently take the first step, others in the family also join you in. And if they don't join you in, it is the task of you as a leader, just as you would get your reluctant team members to join you in, and you will work on their mindsets to change and come and do what is required other than just passing an order. You would build a relationship. You would do that. You also do with your family, because at the end of the day, they're important, but I think at the end of the day, your conviction in doing it is also very important. Now, when I think about, from a theoretical perspective, what is a leader? I have often said this, and maybe I've said this in this group as well, that a leader is not born, but a leader exercises leadership at a time when there is ambiguity and uncertainty. So in my day-to-day job, there are a lot of things that I do like a manager. I have to set a process. I have to make sure that the process is followed. I have to make sure the right resources are found for it. I have to make sure quality is maintained, and so on and so forth. On the other hand, I also, but there are so many things that I have no clue about, and I'm still supposed to find an answer. As a leader, when I stop pretending, saying I know the answer, but I get the group that I'm working with at that point to say, look, we don't know how to answer this, but can we together find an answer? So can I facilitate the group to find an answer to a problem for which no solutions exist? That is when I'm actually acting as a leader, and I'm exercising leadership, and I'm very carefully choosing my word, and that word is facilitation, right? When I facilitate, I don't say I know more than you, but when I facilitate, I listen. When I listen, I also try to listen to those people who will typically not speak up in the group. I'm sure all of you are very senior leaders, and you know that when you ask a question or you get people to do, there'll be two people who will speak and two people who will remain completely quiet. And you don't know whether they are quiet because they disagree with you, or they're quiet because they don't know what the answer is. And doesn't matter why they are quiet, they always have an opinion. I think as a leader, my job or the leader's job is to actually get to hear them and get them to speak up, because unless that happens, when when the solution gets implemented, they are the ones who will not agree with your answers. So listening to the quiet majority, understanding their view, articulation of that is one thing that a leader needs to do, especially when we are faced with a very uncertain kind of a problem. And I think we've all in the last 2 years of the pandemic faced uncertainty and have had to deal with it without really knowing how to deal with it. Lockdowns happen, waves happen, oxygen is not happening, patients are people are falling sick, everybody in the bank is falling sick, and still the bank had to function. We've all managed uncertainty in the last 2 years, and yet I think those of us who have possibly emerged, if we go back and look at it, the better leaders among us also had the skill to manage the pressure, right? So what happens when I'm in a completely not knowing, uncertain situation, which, as I said, I was in the last 2 years, and my team is also in that situation. Suddenly something gets thrown on you. When you're in that situation, there are a lot of people who start to feel anxious, and that anxiety is very important, because only that anxiety goads people to try new things. And if that anxiety, as a leader, my job is not to reduce that anxiety, but my job is to hold that anxiety and know when it is becoming dysfunctional. And if I can do that, and if I can, when that anxiety becomes dysfunctional, if I can remove the lid from that pressure, of that pressure, then I can possibly create a group which is comfortable in the stress that is caused, also knows that there is somebody who is caring for them at that point of time. And these are unfortunately things for which there are no formulas. Yeah, you simply have to learn to do it through observation and experience. And all I would say is, if you as a leader could do some of these things, growth will happen. Yeah, that is how growth will happen. Growth of your organization, growth of the teams that you work in, growth of the subsystems that you are responsible for, and your personal growth happens. And my personal view is that unless you are growing inside, you cannot nurture a growing organization. You cannot nurture a growth in an organization. If you are feeling too tired, too uninterested and disengaged, and you are only counting your time and hours in the organization, then no matter how well you know your subject or how great you are never going to be able to lead growth in the organization. So I think the important point that I'm trying to make is, you have to continuously feel engaged, challenged, and growing inside to be able to do it. And we don't grow because we study more books. We grow when we engage with things around us. And to engage with things around us, we have to put our energy in it. And if we put our energy in anything, that is going to grow. If I put my energy on everything that is terrible happening around me, then the terrible things grow. At least the mind space it takes in my mind becomes very high. And if I put a lot more energy on all the things that can be done differently or changed or can be exciting, then my energy is of a very different level. So again, all I'm saying is that as women leaders, many times we limit ourselves, right? We say, I'm only going to do this, or I'm only capable of this, or I have time only for this, I can't do any more than this. And the moment you start to limit yourself, unfortunately your growth also stops. And when your growth stops, everyone around you who you are responsible also stops to grow. And therefore, anything that you then talk is more theoretical, and people read it as being inauthentic. So the simple The simple story is that you have to remain engaged, you have to remain excited, curious, and enthusiastic about what is happening. You have to learn to focus on what is positive, and you have to learn to continuously engage with your team as they face some of what nobody can teach you in a book. It is something that you only know when you do it. And therefore, my thought always is that unless you
Madam, we have
do
again.
that,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah. Now,
my
now it is
suggestion, okay, so my suggestion is that you know, don't limit yourself. I have a friend, I have a very good dear friend who is very smart, but for some reason, yeah, when she turned 50, she decided, you know, she does not need to do more. She can just pass her time. And in fact, the moment I saw that change in her, I was like, okay, why is she doing this? And what is interesting is that once in her mind she decided that she was going to retire in the next 8 years or whatever time she had, and she was just going to have a comfortable life, she actually started falling in. Yeah, she actually started falling in because she was not able to figure out how to what to do. She stopped growing inside, she stopped being happy inside. And the happiness doesn't come from always relaxing at a beach or having a holiday or having a very cushy life. I think happiness comes from being challenged. Joy inside comes from recognizing the possibilities of what you can do. And my request to my experience and my sadness with a lot of women is somehow they limit themselves, they don't trust themselves, and they somehow at some point decide this is all I can do, this is all I'm capable of. And my thought is that at this point of time, maybe I will stop. I've been saying this for a long time, that you have to keep moving. You have to and the journey to the largest and the most difficult of the places is when you take the first step, and you have to overcome and recognize the irrationality of the fear that I face when I face uncertainty. It is real, but it is irrational. I'm not saying it is unreal. It is irrational, and whatever is irrational, when I start to face it, when I start to look at it, I will actually start to respond to it differently. So maybe I will stop here, and if there are questions or thoughts, then I can look at them. Thank you.
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. It was really enthralling to hear you, madam. And you have an uncanny way of catching what goes in our mind. Perhaps that is what makes you what you are, because these are exactly what was going on in our mind, and you made it very clear. For example, the question which you said, why I was having it in my mind, whether people who are not articulate enough, whether they can be construed as leaders. Not all are articulate, but they have very good potential. You answered it in your own manner, and you said, grab the opportunity. Don't wait that it should be 100%. That really struck a very familiar chord with almost any one of us. I think it strikes a very familiar chord with any one of us, because we really think we are still not fully competent. You give us that confidence. You may not be 100% competent as on date, but go ahead, grab it, hone up your skills. Hone up your skills, and everything will fall in automatically. That makes a whole lot of difference, madam. That makes a whole lot of difference.
Absolutely.
Yes. But interestingly, madam, when you were mentioning that we should not have this one day commemorating women, I do agree with you. Every day is our day. We should go with that spirit. But do you think that the world is now, as it is, free of gender bias, or do you think that it is only more hyped by women folk than what it is actually is?
There is no, I think we aren't free from gender bias. In fact, the data that we have is very unfortunate. If you look at it, India is the only country in the world where we have slipped 10 percentage points on the number of women participating in the workforce. It is absolutely baffling, but the reality is, yes, that has also happened. There are all kinds of biases that exist. I have, as a vice chancellor of a university, I have another pro vice chancellor who's a woman, and there have been people who have said, you can't have another leader who's a woman. I'm like, no, you've never asked that question, when there are all men as leaders. Just because we are two women top leaders doesn't mean that I can't hire a third leader. If that person happens to be a woman and is competent, I will hire her. If that person happens to be a man and competent, I will hire him. But you don't ask that question ever to a man or an all male team, but for a team that has more women, especially women who are at the top, the question gets asked very often, are you biased? Are you only hiring women? So it's not gone yet, it's there.
Yes, madam, I get it, And it is not that leadership is among women is new, madam. We had examples even from good old days where Indira Gandhi madam was leading us. Then there was this R.P. Saha who swam across the British Channel age back in 1959, and now the young, as I mentioned, Greta Thunberg coming. And in every walk of life, there have been women leaving the imprints, but still there is some hesitations, some blockade in the mind, but which is slowly being overcome, like with the help of hand-holding given by people like you. Definitely women are coming out. But madam, what in your rich experience you feel that is the biggest challenge, whether it lies within us or whether it lies within the society or it lies within the approach? What is the biggest challenge to overcome such inner demons in us? What could be the biggest challenge and how to do it?
So, Maya, it's a very good question. Honestly, I think the challenge, any such challenge has to have both sides, right? So, yes, it is within us as well. I have to totally believe and trust in myself to go forward. But I think there is also the narrative of the society which tells us, look, there is such an ingrained narrative that your place is in the house. Your place is to take care of the family. Now, it may not be totally wrong. I'm not saying that women should not take care of the family because they go out to work. But I also ask the question, why is it that taking care of the family has to be only the woman's responsibility? It has to be both the husband and the wife's responsibility, and whoever is best positioned at that point of time should take care of the house and the family. Sometimes it will be the man and sometimes it will be the woman. I think that narrative, that ingrained, deep-rooted thing that, my worth comes from being a great homemaker or a great house taker, that is where I think the biggest challenge is. So it's both the society and us which will have to work together.
Yes, madam. That's it's really an eye opener for many of us. We should also come forward with that thing, that we should share the responsibilities and make them also shoulder the responsibilities. It is mutual. So with the help of the family, we can also come forward. The other question which crosses my mind, madam, whether a leader is a person who offers solutions or he makes us find our solutions. Who would be the ideal leader, who is able to give us a solution or who helps us to find our own solutions?
Okay, so I think it is not a game. If I know the answer, I must give it. But if I don't know the answer, I must be open enough to say I don't know the answer, and I should help the team to find the answer, right? Which doesn't mean that I go and do the research with them, but I make it put it on the front burner that we need to find an answer to this, and we actually find the answer for that. That is what we try to do in this thing. So I don't think the leader is one or the other. It can be both, but it has to be honest and authentic. If I know the answer, I'm not going to say, okay, why don't you find the answer, just because I want to show you that you don't know this. Or if I really don't know the answer, then I have to also be very open to say, I don't know the answer, let's find it at this point of time.
Okay. The next question which has come to me from the viewers is also that there could be stressful situations or turbulent situations which throws us out of gear.
Yes.
And we may lose track also, or we may lose the years also, which are very vital. How do we recompensate, or how do we regrow?
Okay. I think it's very important to not see, of course, the world treats it as a break. But when you take time off to take care of an ailing parent or to take care of a young child, all of that, you're still really managing. Yeah. And I think what's important is that at that point of time, you I'm just going to join from my other computer. So just give me 1 minute. You might see a, so can you see? Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can see you also, madam. That's right.
So, so what I'm trying to say is that when I
it's a little feeble, madam. Whether the volume can be increased?
I can. Can you hear me now better? Yes.
No, it's still a little feeble.
I'm at 100 now. I can't make it any higher.
But you're audible, but maybe a little feeble than what you were before. That's all. But we can see you. That makes us more happy and more and more enthused. Yes, madam.
So I will try to speak a little louder. I think the important part for me is that when we don't treat it as a break, we actually see it as time that you spend to maybe regroup yourself, learn a new skill, look at what is happening. I think sometimes what happens is when I get in a very difficult situation, maybe taking care of a difficult pregnancy, taking care of a twin birth, or a ailing parent, and so on and so forth, women also cut themselves off from the workplace completely. And when they cut themselves off from the workplace completely, coming back becomes very difficult. People have forgotten you. You have lost the touch. You have not kept in touch with some of the new regulations, something that is happening. So I think it's really important that when we do take a break, we do realize that we're taking a break with the intention of coming back, and therefore while my colleagues are continuously learning at the workplace, what am I doing to invest in myself during those days? So I think that is a very important question, and a lot of women simply drop it. And I'm not blaming them. I'm not saying that's the wrong thing, but I think the important thing is, if I really want to come back to work and be valued, I have to keep myself abreast. At least 2 hours a day, can you be studying something, reading something, taking some exam, taking some certification, something or the other, so that you are also keeping your mind sharp at that point of time.
Yes, madam. So we have to also focus on maintaining our individuality and identity. That is as important as we have this mutual give and take. But in the process of building up, there may be some priorities which may take a backseat, which normally appear as priorities, do take a backseat, and there are some maybe genuine only, because that time we go through that, we get a feeling of guilt. Whether all these are relevant, and whether all these are only going to be points pulling us back.
Right. So, guilt helps nobody. Mm. Guilt is a completely useless emotion, and it comes to us. It's actually a learnt emotion. It's not a natural emotion. I often jokingly say that Freud had said this, that you know, you're being attracted to somebody, and I'm using a different example, but you're being attracted to somebody is not the problem. But your feeling guilty about feeling attracted to someone is often the problem, right? So, similarly, your taking a break is not the problem. You're not attending to your child when they possibly needed you as if the world was going to fall is not the problem, because life takes over. How many times you can be at somebody's side, but the guilt that you feel about it is really the problem, because the guilt will lead to a story creation. I'm not a good mother, I'm not this, I'm not that, how can I be, what is the use of this money, I need to, all of these stories then feed into my not giving my 100% at work, and my not even giving 100% at home, because I'm not operating from for a place of what I need to do, but I'm operating from a place of guilt, and possibly some kind of a thing.
Yes, madam. Madam, one more question which crosses my mind. Maybe it's a repeat of a different thing. Ladies are generally depicted, and they are also not. I won't say they are just painted. They are emotionally strong than men. That is what really. If you ask anybody for that matter, whether you ask my grandmother, whether you ask me, whether you ask my maid, whether you ask my MD, everybody would definitely say that women are more emotionally strong than men. That being the case, in fact, men look for more emotional support from ladies. They will not be able to pull on a day also many a times without the family member around. That being the case, why is it that the women, when it comes to work culture, when it comes to taking up leadership role, there they hesitate a little. That how to overcome that? How to overcome that when it comes to that? Because we are in no way, in fact, we are more strong on the emotional front, but still something pulls us back from taking the leadership position as we go up the pyramid. Up the pyramid, lower pyramid is okay, but up the pyramid, this comes as a block.
So obviously, it is not our lack of emotional strength which stops us, but it is some of the things that I have told myself, and I have listened, and I have absorbed them myself to say, um, why should you be a leader? Why should you be spending 18 hours a day? What is the need to do all of this? There are so many things that will tell you, that it's okay. You are now 54. You need to relax. You don't need to do this, and so on and so forth. So there is, and it's not real, right? I think it's a lot of it is what you have heard and you have assimilated and you've not questioned it, right? In fact, for many people, 50s is the age when they really have a lot of time. Children are grown up. Yeah, your energy is very high. This is really the time to challenge yourself, and a lot of times I think it is not because of emotional weakness, but it is because of the story that I've told myself, that this is the time to wind down. Yeah, but maybe not. It's not the time to wind down. It's the time to go up. It's the time to, I have all this time now. I have, I don't have my children have studied, they're out in college, or they're, working on their own. There's so much free time now that I may want to use all the knowledge that I have put together to be able to build on this. So I think it's definitely some of the socialization that we work with.
Okay. All this nearly 45 minutes to 1 hour now, madam. I think not only me, many of the people who have been viewing this, we all have clearly understood that your basic never said die attitude should be harnessed. You should have that attitude and you should be ready to challenge the challenge and see the world with an open mind and see the world and accept the other gender also with an open framework, so that you also receive help and you are also ready to give help. By that way, there is mutual growth. This is This is what I have been able to assimilate.
Yes, you have nicely summarized it. Very beautifully done.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam. I am really happy to have shared these hours with you. Whether any of our friends here have, whether I don't know whether they can pitch in and ask questions, because I've been asking a lot of questions which I've been able to get it also. Valerie, are you there? Valerie? Yes, madam, I think that Valerie is maybe held up in some other matter.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
I would request our madam, our inspection GM, and she is there here to, Safia madam is here to express her viewpoints and what are the takeaways from this. Safia madam?
Yeah, thank you, Maya. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Madam, Dr. We are, like Neharika Vohra, we are really thankful for you to come over. And last year also, we in the same time of the year, we had the opportunity to listen to you for, like motivating our young budding leaders. So once again, like we are listening to you, and according to me, what I felt that like there are lot of definition about the leadership and the and that growth is not exactly the leadership and how what is a leader and who is a leader and how to lead, what are the skills and all. But you have pinpointed, like to me a different dimension, telling that like the first step, the leadership first step, you only have to take it, and for that you have to get out of here, and we used to say comfort zone, whatever it is, that first decision, unless you take the decision to challenge yourself and come out of your cocoon and get into the society, then only everything is possible. That dimension I really liked it. That is what lagging exactly in the women force here, what I feel, that there are a lot of potential, and as you said rightly, among the, when men and women everybody is sitting in a room, even though women has the answer, or even though they know everything, but they choose not to, not to like voice their voice at all, or they will keep quiet, why should I, or something like that. That inhibition is there in that, I don't know whether it is inbuilt in us, but those who have broken that, they have gone up like anything. We have so many good leaders who are excelled in everything, and in our bank itself we had our madam Padmanath Chandru. He was like even now you think of a leader, that things comes to us, and we were very fortunate to have here. So madam, that is one thing, and I would like to see that like how to bring the, we at least who chose to take that challenge, and maybe because of the circumstance or our own decision, somehow we got pushed, and we are here at least 5 GMs in our time, and we wanted to bring that. Maybe our 70-30 is the percentage among the women and in the bank, but we wanted to push some more, like the women in there, because of their some family circumstance and everything, it is coming. So we wanted this speech of you, and the answers, the given questions and answers given by you is really a thought provocativity, and they will say, why can't I, why can't I, that why can't I, that challenge we have to instill them, and they have to come out. As you said, rightly said, 50 is the age where like there will be lot of time, maybe 45 onwards also we can say they will be free to do that. So we are really like I was really personally very thankful for hearing to you, and I was really focusing on like how is it is done. And thank you on like we are celebrating International Women's Day, and we have in our Indian Bank a good top management who really wanted to like motivate the women for to come up and to take challenge, and they are also supportive, and this is, we are fortunate enough. And so for that, like again we wanted to, because basically in society or in the family or in the bank, when women are around, definitely that place is a better place, I say. We are balanced, we are focused, so all those things are there. Yes, yes, ma'am. So this is one area. So thankful for attending to us. And Maya, thankful for you to, you have channeled the right questions, and madam has come out with the real, answers, and, that will be true for it. And for this, this will be available, this link will be available in as a YouTube. This will benefit all of our employees as well as the customers, and this is a one worth moment. We are really, you have contributed to the women folks, so thank you for, and thank you the Mr. Bajaj and his team for arranging this opportunity, and for getting madam here and talking to us. So and I also thank all the who are already linked here and who are the future listeners for this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Madam, thank you, Madam. Niharika, Madam, thank you so much.
Thank
It
you,
was
madam.
joy. It was a joy.
Thank you.
So nice of you. With that, I think we'll conclude this
All
webinar.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
எஸ் மீட்டிங் மாதிரியே பேசுறீங்க.
ஏசலையா என்னாச்சு ஏசல என்னாச்சு
மூச்சு விடாம பேசுறீங்க.
continuous.
That's good.
Thank you. No, at least that lady has come and given, and that is the first time I'm hearing.